just said, well, you're gonna do it or you're not. Again, I needed to revise my handouts so that as they watch the videos, that's kind of how it could work. And one of the things you want to do is I use Blackboard, and I keep the videos open all semester. And when a lot of the students said, the feedback was, I could watch them over and over and over and over. And they really like that. Students who struggle, if they see you say it over and over and over again, it sticks. We've had students who are on the fence in OT because we have a little bit higher grade requirements. They're persevering, I think, with the help of the flipping. And they also get me in class so they can ask questions about their assignments, like large assignments and things like that that we're working on to make sure they're on the right track. So that's what's really nice about it. That's a real retention-focused effort. I think all of us need to think about at JCC is that retention effect. You know, can we really keep more students sitting in our class? And think about it. How bored are you already with me talking? Does your bottom hurt yet? Is your mind drifting? The average attention span is 10 or 15 minutes. I better hurry up, right? I mean, we have to think about today's learner and what it is to keep them engaged and actually learning the material and applying it and synthesizing it and all that Bloom stuff that we all took. So it's really important. The next thing that I needed to do is I had to create new assignments. I had to come up with what's called my Toolkit assignment for my Pediatrics course. Now here's my little, I'm moving, so a lot of love my video. One of the things I had students do is they had to develop a toolkit of a minimum of 20 activities for the pediatric population, birth to 21, and they had to create a notebook on how each of them are graded up and down, the steps for them to do it, and these are some of my outcomes. So just so you know, I'd invite you to look through these projects because these were the first, I have another one somewhere. There's two of them. These were the first two I picked up. Oh, right, here's another one. And they were exemplary. So just so you know, the workmanship and things like that, and these just happen to be the first two I graded. I haven't gotten any others. I'm like, oh, I'm done now. No, just kidding. But these are wonderful exhibits of what it never would have happened without me flipping my class. So just so you know, and I invite you to look through them and see the detail and everything of them. So my new assignments was my toolkit assignment, and I actually brought it for you. So if you wanted something in psychology about diagnoses and medications, or you wanted that of interventions of different types, if you wanted one for English of different types of vocabulary and things like that, vocabulary building, you could do a bunch of different things that could be used as a toolkit type, or just another assignment that's been burning in your head that you never seem to get to. This was mine, and it's been very helpful. The other thing I wanted to say about the toolkits is they're actually using them right now. They're actually due today, right now at Head Start. I just got back there this morning, so if I have shaving cream on me somewhere, it's not my fault. They're 3 to 5-year-olds, but my students could actually take this toolkit, any of the items in it, and use it with those kids. So they were actually using what they created. And they've gone for 3 weeks now. So the earlier things that they got completed, they could bring with them, and they actually could test it out and see what they could do with those items and how to grade them for those kids. They also are going to the GA school, but these are middle school students, and this may not be as appropriate. It depends on if they developed enough activities for the middle school age range. So just so you know, these activities there's a broad plethora. The other thing I had them add was resources for themselves as clinicians and also for parents. So then when they go out into the world, they may do a fieldwork rotation right when they're done and do it in pediatrics, and they are ready. They have something to go out into their professional life with that's begun and organized, and so hopefully this is helpful for them. What else did I have to do? To replace my traditional lecture class, I adopted, to create this toolkit, a centers approach. And you're thinking centers. And what I did was, I'll show you pictures in a second, is that I used like the do-it-yourself center. a collaboration station, because I said collaboration is really, really important, and a think tank. So I had 3 different centers in my class during my lecture time where they actually got to work on those toolkits. So, let me flip it for you. Oh, best practice, make the materials readily available, and at least it's going to be an organized chaos. So if you try this for the first time, it was a little hairy for me. But the students seemed to know where they were going and what they were doing, which I thought was great. They figured it out better than I did. But I figured if I had a DIY, which was do it yourself, where they had all the tools and materials ready, they had a think tank where they had books and resources to look things up with for their ideas for their toolkits, and collaboration station was kind of where I was, where they could ask questions of themselves and each other so they could brainstorm. So it was really, really nice. So here we go. The picture on the left is what I did was solicit the college. I don't know if you got my email, but I said, hey, got any recyclables, anyone? That was for this particular assignment. So everything from toilet paper rolls on. I got old jeans, socks. I got bamboo stick things. Paper containers, plastic containers, you name it, it's all up here. Coffee filters, all of those different things people you could use for craft activities or different activities for kids. So it worked really, really well. So that was my do-it-yourself, oh my goodness. And I said, this table's yours, you can take whatever you want off it. Just take it. So that gave them materials. So the students who don't have a lot of money, that was a big cost saver for them. They still were at the dollar store a lot, I understand. That was the big complaint, I'll tell you about later. But the dollar store rocks for OT and stuff to get things cheap. The other one, the young woman on the right, that's Rachel, and she's in the think tank. But you'll notice all the resources, that was only part of it. I had cartfuls of books for them to utilize and computers available for them to look everything up that they wanted. So they had it, and she was sitting there going, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And behind her, you need to see the little sign that says think. So I had little signs, so they knew where to go and where everything was, my think tank. And actually, they took over another room, too, because we expanded a little too far. It's quite large, so you're going to need a little, make sure you have space, or an overflow station. I probably should have had that as a little tip. Outcomes, again, the flipping allowed me to have the students complete an assignment that it never could have happened otherwise. And the toolkits are that outcome. I just want to make sure that you're well aware of that. It's something that you could have tangibly for your students. Dave, you could have them create like an e-portfolio for themselves for their professional life. You could have them, but you could be there to help them through it. I tried to use one of those one time and it didn't go well. I think I still have my membership, but I couldn't ever get myself through it. If you ever get stuck and you can't get to the other side to do something kind of special with your students, that's where this staff also comes in. But you could do a project, you could just do it on content material that students struggle with. Like, does anybody have something that always is a sticking point for them in their class? They always get stuck where? What's your area? What gets stuck, Trace?
In early history, people get stuck with political things, especially just political concepts and the structure of the government. So, I'm interested in doing this because I want to be able to have them work on those really basic concepts at home, and then we can do some role playing or do some simulations in class.
Or have them make timelines or make up political cartoons that stand for that particular.
That's
great
idea.
You could have them create a PowerPoint or a poster of it, and then that outlines it. But you could do it with technology. You could do it with markers. You could do it. It doesn't have to be high tech. It can be as low tech as possible. But if you put that giving of information, that critical piece, and then the rest of it, they come in and work with you. That's what we're gunning for. And here's some more pictures. Now this is them working on them. The young woman on the right is making a lacing activity for shoe tying that you could use for a variety of different ages depending on the disability. The one in the middle made an alphabet tree thing where they could match them and do it as it was a game. She came up with it herself. So you can see the level of creativity. And the girl on the left just looks like she's having fun, so I thought that was a good one. To flip or not to flip. I'll show you the clip, my video clips, and some of my handouts in a minute. I just didn't want to mess with the technology when I'm being recorded. That's always ugly. But lessons learned, so what did I learn? I learned that flipping is a great idea, and I don't need to be a promotion for the TEI team, they can do it themselves. But what I can say, I've had very positive results in my class. I really, really liked it, and I highly recommend it, even if you only do it for one class, one lecture, to try it, and then see how it goes. And I picked something that they just don't do well in because it doesn't go well anyway. So if it totally bombs, it already did. At least you're trying to fix it, right? I mean, that's how I look at it. There's nowhere to go but up at that point. Because I have those trouble points in mind, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I better do it? Like the political cartoon, maybe that's a horrible idea, but you know what, they'll glom onto that. And maybe you could have them bring in their comic strip or something, and they have to do it in a comic strip. I mean, I'm not sure, and use certain vocabulary in it. I'm not sure what you're going to do, but it could be a lot of fun. The students engage and learn more. They are more accountable. Now, we're having problems right now with a bunch of different areas in OTA. We always do with professionalism because we have a bar that peaks up and they keep trying to go through it. But they learn more, and they really have gotten a lot out of this. You can create experiences that influence the students now and how they think and later. So their level of understanding of politics and of the government, and or, gee whiz, do we have a drug problem? You know, I have someone in here who teaches psychology. What about the heroin epidemic? What does that do to the brain? What about the babies that are born with that? I mean, you could have a field day. Geez, all the health information informatics day, security, cybersecurity, all of those different things are huge issues. How are we teaching it? How are we making people smarter, not just to get a degree, but smarter in the world? I get scared sometimes. You can create experiences that they're accountable. I put probes in mine, put learning probes in your clips. Somehow quiz them, somehow have some sort of point-bearing thing on there so that they come in and they're ready. And if they're not, you get them twice. Evaluate them twice. They're only going to do that once. They're only going to screw up totally once unless they totally don't want to be in your class. With the push for experiential learning from SUNY, you could be doing it right in your class. I think this is a great way to do it, and it's on your terms in your own way. So this is just one more model that you could explore that I think would fit the bill. I'm thinking of flipping even next semester with one of my courses to get the students out more and practicing range of motion and strength testing, because we're all normal, we're strong. You know, they don't get what lower level muscle grades are. So I think I'm going to flip that content of where I'm talking, and then I want to take them out to Lutheran Social Services to one of the units and say, okay, let's test these people with shoulder pain and multiple diagnoses, and let's figure this out. So it gives them some real world practice in my class, which should have been field work, right? It doesn't have to be. You gotta think, I think a little bit differently. And it can invigorate you in your teaching. It's been so much fun to walk into class and not have to lecture. I don't like it very much. And I can walk in and the room is alive. So it really kicks up your game a little bit, because you really have to be able to think on your feet and be able to field a lot of questions, but you're not doing this every day. So it really has been a lot of fun for me. I've had a really good time, and I don't do things more than once unless it's a good time. So it's a lot of work at the upfront, depending on how much you want to do. If it's one class, I figure a couple, 3 hours extra of time. That's not that bad to make it work, especially if it's something that isn't working well. So then you get that reinforcement.